Here's a $1 million question to begin with. What two very unlikely movies such as Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and Straight Outta Compton have in common? We've every reason to fear you aren't going to guess it right, our dear gangster viewers. No need to keep you waiting any longer. Two of the most important figures of the Straight Outta Compton movie, Dr. Dre and Tupac, were under the tremendous influence of Mad Max post-apocalyptic scenery when they were filming one of the most influential music videos in the MTV history, California Love. We're going to agree unconditionally that this, one of the most expensive music videos ever, looked as if it was borrowed from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Yet, this is only the beginning of our story about 25 facts, which come straight outta Compton. Number 1. It turned out that a movie of this epic magnitude was required to end the 16-year-old music abstinence of Dr. Dre. The album called Compton, a soundtrack, is actually his first album after 16 long years. One of his tweets says it all. This is supposed to be his grand finale, a la Dr. Dre. Number 2. When you're making a movie about your first humble but life-changing steps in the music industry, it's perfectly normal to completely lose a sense of time. One of the very first movie's version is supposed to be 3.5 hours long, at least. For the movie director, Mr. Gray, this was a painful but unavoidable sacrifice. The director's cut of Straight Outta Compton will give us back these invaluable 60 minutes. We just can't wait for this extra hour of hip-hop history. Can you? Number 3. If you want to be successful in Hollywood for real, you've got to get along with box office numbers. Nicely, of course. So let's begin with the fact that this is the highest box office opening in August for an R-rated movie with more than $60 million. In addition, this is the biggest opening ever for one musical biopic. The figures are right. Sit tight for more Straight Outta Compton facts. Number 4. One of the key figures in this movie, unfortunately, hasn't lived long enough to see it firsthand in a movie theater. Both Ice Cube and Dr. Dre had difficult personal moments with Eazy-E, especially prior to his tragic death. Ice Cube didn't pay a visit to Eazy-E at the hospital, including the funeral ceremony. On the other hand, Dr. Dre did his best to visit Eazy-E while being on an HIV treatment, but he was too late. This movie was their one try to say a proper goodbye to their colleague and friend, Eazy-E. Number 5. Have you wondered where's Eminem in Straight Outta Compton movie? If this is the case, you don't have to worry. There's nothing wrong with you. As a matter of fact, the original script included a scene where Eminem was discovered by Dr. Dre at the very beginning of his skyrocketing career. However, for some unknown reason, this scene was never shot. Number 6. We dare to say that more than anything else, this movie is about fathers and sons. Ice Cube had his own son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., to portray his character in the movie. On the other side, Lil Eazy-E was desperately trying to get a role, which will allow him to portray his own father, Eazy-E. However, the movie producers just couldn't agree on a green light for this one. Lil Eazy-E was understandably disappointed with this decision, but he finally accepted to coach Jason Mitchell personally, in order to give us the most accurate feeling of his father, Eazy-E's appearance and character. Actually, this was so typical for the tense and sometimes quite merciless atmosphere on Straight Outta Compton movie set. O'Shea Jackson had to prepare for 2 long years for this role. Why? His father, Ice Cube, wanted to prove his point that no nepotism will be tolerated in casting nor filming process. Number 7. Each of the Jerry curl wigs that they used in this movie were worth at least $15,000. Were they really necessary? Well, we have to leave this one for you to decide. Number 8. This movie is filled with heartbreaking symbolism. It's released 20 years after the tragic death of Eazy-E and 25 years after the release of NWA's album 100 Miles and Runnin'. Number 9. One rumor has it that Dr. Dre presented the hip-hop anthem California Love to Tupac when he was working on Hail Mary. Well, this isn't necessarily true in the movie. Tupac finished Hail Mary after Dr. Dre left the notorious Death Row. But honestly, who cares about a few historical inaccuracies in the movie here and there, as long as it knocks you off your feet, right? Number 10. There's so much symbolism in the movie's title itself. Not only is this the title of the very first album published by the NWA, but also the font and style of the movie itself bears a striking resemblance to the well-known parental advisory warning labels that you can see on many albums with problematic and explicit lyrics. Number 11. You can rest assured that a director's choice, which included F. Gary Gray, wasn't an accident at all. He directed two very important videos for movie makers. We're talking about Natural Born Killers with Dr. Dre and Tupac Shakur, including the most popular Ice Cube's video, It Was a Good Day. And this was a good movie indeed. Number 12. Now we have to mention some things the movie makers are certainly not proud of. The notorious F-word was mentioned 293 times in this movie. This F-fact reserved Straight Outta Compton position number 16 of all films, which just couldn't make it without the F-word at least a couple of hundred times. Number 13. This may come as a surprise, but only Eazy-E and MC Ren were the actual street gang members who were also part of NWA. They were members of the street gang called the Kelly Part Compton Crips. Were they more gangster or hip-hop boys? Well, this movie leaves it up to you to decide. Number 14. Let's talk again about the sacrifices this movie asked for. Ice Cube Jr., O'Shea Jackson Jr. had no other choice than to consume only 1,200 calories a day in order to lose 15 pounds in a single month. On the other side, Jason Mitchell had quite a different kind of challenge. How about 4,000 calories a day for a change? Number 15. If you want to see it all, then you have to see it all of Straight Outta Compton. This means both trailers and movies itself. Some scenes can be seen only in the trailers. For instance, a scene where EazyE tries to bring a gun while on the tour. There's one more scene. We could see Dr. Dre talking to his girlfriend in a jail. Finally, there's an alternative sequence where Straight Outta Compton is performed by NWA in Straight Outta Compton. Don't miss a thing. That's our word of advice. Number 16. In order to help promote his movie, Dr. Dre called a Tech Calvary. Beats by Dre introduced a genuine app through the movie site called StraightOuttaSomewhere.com. This interesting app allowed users to upload a picture of their choice with a special Straight Outta logo. The next thing you know, in less than 24 hours, more than 78,000 Straight Outta pictures were uploaded and shared all over social networks. In addition, the movie premiere day witnessed more than 6 million of these special pictures. Dr. Dre showed us all he can create both ears-catching music and eye-catching apps with an ease and unparalleled success. Number 17. Did you think that a movie premiere was going to be any different? Straight Outta Compton LA premiere had seen one of the most heavily secured red carpet moments in the entire movie history. In addition, Universal Studios gladly accepted to participate in costs movie theaters had to include for hiring extra security while this movie was on their repertoire. For what it's worth, nothing bad happened during this movie screening for general audiences. The lack of major incidents actually led some people to believe that this was nothing more than a carefully organized marketing campaign. Either way, we're happy and relieved that Straight Outta Compton's story had a happy end in both the movie and in real life. Number 18. Although Ice Cube had to participate in another movie, a comedy, Ride Along, he made sure he was present all the time on the Straight Outta Compton movie set. How? Well, again, we have to mention the technology itself, which wasn't around when he was making his first musical steps with Dr. Dre. This is how Ice Cube discovered the magic world of Skype. He was there all the time. Actually, there's a funny anecdote about a movie assistant who was forced to walk around the movie set all day long while listening to the orders of a tireless Ice Cube who kept saying, "Turn me around, turn me around." Number 19. If you think that the scenes with the Death Row Records were exaggerated, with pit bulls, gorgeous girls, guns, violence and everything, Dr. Dre is determined to prove you all wrong. For him, this was a circus. That's exactly why he had no other choice than to leave Death Row Records. The name of this recording company says it all, doesn't it? Number 20. The infamously famous scene where NWA members get harassed by the police in front of their recording studio is actually based on real-life events. You don't have to guess twice what was the name of the album they were recording at the time this incident occurred, do you? Their first album, Straight Outta Compton, had quite difficult and unusual birth pains. Allegedly, this trouble with the police was responsible for the most controversial F the Police concept in NWA music history. This was Ice Cube's creation Dr. Dre wasn't enthusiastic about. Why? This isn't the right kind of a line in a song you want to sing when you've to spend each weekend in jail because you've too many traffic violation penalties breathing down your neck. Number 21. Here's one more notorious scene we're eager to know if it's true or not. You better believe it, Ice Cube really demolished the Priority Records offices while using an aluminium baseball bat. Why? He didn't get an advance for his first solo album, so what happened in the end? Well, Ice Cube got his advance and the Priority Records obviously got itself a new office furniture. Number 22. This movie definitely deserves to be seen with no prejudices of any kind. Despite the street gangs, drugs and guns artistic background, no blood money was used for the first album Straight Outta Compton. Its costs included a symbolic amount of only $12,000, which were probably covered by the label itself. This is something most of newbie albums rely on in the movie industry. It would be so unfair to cloud this movie and its music with a shadow of doubt. These guys were actually making gangster music to get away from the so-called gangster paradise, rather than to glorify this way of life. Number 23. Straight Outta Compton is all about millions. Dollars, viewers, fans, and downloads. To this date, the Straight Outta Your Hometown special meme hit an impressive number of more than 6 million downloads. Number 24. The Community Resources Against Street Hoodlums, or the Crash Police program, was also mentioned in the movie. This police task force had a special mission against the urban drug trade and gang-related violence. Luckily for us and the music industry, they didn't have a thing to solve with the NWA group. Number 25. One of the most addictive lines from this movie, "Bye Felicia," is actually an allusion and an obvious reference to early Ice Cube's movie Friday, 1995. Well, what do you know? This was also a director's debut for F. Gary Gray. 20 years later, they're back to the scene of their artistic crime. In both movies, both girls named Felicia had to leave a party a little bit earlier than planned. So, bye Felicia, till next Friday, and another 25 movie facts. Leave your movie fact suggestions in the comments below. Thanks for watching.